Something more about Dr. Sooliman as an inspirational founder, the director and visionary of Gift the Forgivers, a South African NGO founded in 1992. Dr. Sooliman has been instrumental in changing the lives of millions of people in more than 41 countries around the world. Gift the Forgivers is the largest disaster response NGO of African origin, delivering life-saving aid in the form of search and rescue teams, medical assistance, nutritional support, water and basic necessities. It is also the first of such agency to be accredited by the proudly South African Foundation. Dr. Sooliman, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronnie, Andre, and everybody else for inviting me here. I have spoken in this venue 2 years ago. Most South Africans, or all the people in our country, have been worried for several months about the future. Failed state, progress, falling apart, infrastructure, all these kind of things have been worrying our people. It sometimes feels that people think challenges are a new phenomenon of life. Challenges have always been there, whether it's in a preschool, primary school, high school, or bullies. When you go to university, it's very different from school. Lecturer walks in, writes something on the board and disappears. In the workplace, there's challenges between colleagues, between senior management and ordinary people, in the home between husband and wife, parents and children. So challenges are a fact of life. As we have it in the farming community, as we have it in the economic and the business world, it's nothing new. In our scripture, we are told we have created man into toil and struggle. In other words, challenges is a guarantee. It's going to be there all the time. It's never going to go away. What's important is how to deal with challenges, because they're never going to go away. The approach to challenges is what's critical. You can be physically fit, you can train, your body can be very fit, but if you have a negative mindset, you will destroy your body, your progress, and your entire being. So what brings positive mindset? The only qualities that gives you a positive mindset and hope are two critical points: faith and spirituality. You don't have to accept that. But that's my lived experience for 34 years. I've been involved in disasters for 34 years. That's all I do. Monday to Sunday, 365 days a year. I've been to the most horrendous parts of the universe. I've seen people kill each other, neighbors, friends, people of the same religion, same color, same race, same community, suddenly turn against each other. They fall apart, they destroy each other. We see the effects of typhoons, hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, floods, famine, drought. We see it all over, and the effect that it has, and how people fall apart, and how in that falling apart, their faith brings them whole, makes them whole again. You don't have to believe in anything. Spirituality encompasses everything. As long as you've got a good soul, you have humanity in you, and you want to do good, that is spirituality. So, let me give you one or two examples. 2 years ago, our truck went into Komani, Queenstown, around 5 o'clock in the evening, winter. As it was going up the mountain, a lady, a black lady, emphasis on race is deliberate, comes out from the house and suddenly spots the truck. She looks at the truck, everybody knows our branding. She looks, and she's on crutches. She looks heavenwards and she says, "You never let me down." What's significant about that? You see, this lady had no income, no breadwinner, no food in the house. She made a prayer to God Almighty, but no network, She never phoned me. She never phoned my staff. She never phoned my office. She never sent an email or an SMS or a WhatsApp. All she did was a prayer to God Almighty, I am hungry. And for some strange reason, our truck landed up in that area. And she got the food parcel. We didn't know she needed a food parcel, but we landed up in the area. That is faith and spirituality. She had the challenges of hunger, but the answer came. 20th January 2010, 8 days into the earthquake in Haiti, that took place on the 12th of January 2010, 5:14 p.m. in the afternoon, 7.0 on the Richter scale, only 40 seconds. 40 seconds, it wiped out 240,000 people. On day 8, 20th January, my teams heard sounds in the rubble of the collapsed Catholic Church. As they went in, 3 hours later, they pulled out alive 64-year-old Enazizi. No oxygen, no food, no water, no medical support, only inhaling dust and a fractured hip. They pulled her out alive. Her first words to my team members, Mani House and Ahmed Bam, I love God Almighty. What kept her alive was her faith and her spirituality. Her second words to my team, I love you. Love is the essence of humanity, is the essence of faith, is the essence of who we are. So let's come back to challenges in our country. Many of you will remember in the 70s when the Middle East War took place, we had fuel rationing. We survived. 2007, 2008, the world economy collapsed. We were not responsible. You see, Africa has always looked at it as the bad guy. Whenever you go out of this continent, Africa is a swear word. You guys are backwards. You go to the begging bowl. What did you come for? TB, HIV, AIDS, malaria, corruption, drought. You guys are a backward continent. We didn't mess up the world. You guys messed it up. 2007 and 2008. Our institutions are fine and strong. We survived what you guys messed up. After that, the interest rates went to 24%. Ask the property guys what our time that was. We survived that also. 2019, Cyclone Idai wiped out, caused massive damage in Mozambique, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and parts of Durban. KZN came out of that. And then came the monster. COVID in 2020 affected the whole world. We lost 2 million jobs. We lost 100,000 lives. We lost 750 doctors in 9 months in 2020. We lost 750 doctors in 9 weeks in 2021. Everything was job losses, companies closed, people were hungry, it was chaos. We came out of that. In 2021, we had civil unrest in KZN. Again, people look at the negative side of things, you see. It's all about perception. Media went on shouting, insurrection, insurrection. What insurrection are you talking about? Did they attack 9 provinces in the country? Did they go for the military, the president, cabinet, parliament, police force, the dams, the airports, the harbors, the electricity? Did they attack all that? No, they did not. In one province only, somebody told them to steal stuff from a mall. In my history, I've never known of any government change when people attack a mall. And anywhere in the world, if you tell people, take free stuff, when there's economic challenges, whether it's in Asia, or Europe, or South Africa, South America, people will go and take free stuff. It will happen. What they also missed, it was not a riot. Nobody came with guns and crockeries and telling us to fight. I know. Brookside Mall, where the Checkers was burning for several days, is 900 meters from where I live. And people came from wherever they lived. 2-year-old child had a pair of shoes in his hand. Old lady had 1 fish. youngsters had some branded clothes. I'm not condoning what they did, that was wrong. Other guys had fridges on their back and they were walking. And they said, hello, hello. I said, what the hell are you guys doing? What are you doing with a fridge? He said, I need a fridge. I said, you don't even have electricity. What are you going to do with the fridge? Everybody's taking this time taking it. They were not violent. They were very pleasant. They were waving to you as they were walking. Nobody harmed anybody. Yes, there was some violence in some areas, but you get a gangster element, you get a drug element. That's normal. It happens everywhere. It is not the overall situation in the whole of KZN. But in that incident, look the other side. It showed how stable our country was. You see, it only happened in one province. And who stopped it? You don't need the police to stop it. The taxi drivers stopped it. We don't need the police. Within 72 hours, it stopped. But something more significant happened. The people showed immense remorse. They said, this is not who we are. This is not our way. This is not the way of the family before us. What we did was terribly wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. It's harmful to us, it's harmful to our reputation, and it caused a lot of damage and bad blood. And a lot of people brought the stuff back. Now, if that was only a gesture to sort of hoodwink the nation, let's see what happened in 2022. 21st March 2022, Monday, a political party said, we're going to shut the nation down. Close your shops. If you get looted, don't blame us. If you get injured, don't blame us. If you get killed, don't blame us. If there's violence, don't blame us. Nobody turned up. In the townships, in Inanda, Kwamashu, Amlazi, all people stood on knobkitties and walked around the malls and said, you dare come and break or destroy anything, we will kill you. They took it upon themselves to protect the nation. So we need to go back to something very, very significant where all this started. You see, economists like to write negative things, and you guys are the problem. Say, make a statement, there's going to be violence in the 7th election. 6 elections, we had no violence. Why suddenly we're going to have violence in the 7th election? Who dreamt that up? Do you even know what's going on in the townships? Then they say, oh, people are hungry. Everything's going to burn. Hunger is here from 2002. I'll explain that to you in a little while. Nothing has burnt because of hunger. Put all negative thoughts into people. That is very, very destructive. We need to think very carefully about what we say, how we say it, and what we do. People said failed state. 2022, October, CTICC. 2,000 cardiologists from every country in the world land up in South Africa with their families. Why would people come to a failed state? Are they mad or something? 2,000 cardiologists and their families all came and falling in love with the country, which we don't understand ourselves. Last year, 6 December 2023, on a Monday, I opened the Neurosurgical Conference. The first one in sub-Saharan Africa in 30 years in the history. 3,500 foreign guests came for that surgical conference and their families. Everybody showing positivity and hope in South Africa. The CTICC for international conventions is booked right up till 2026. We lost 2 million jobs pre-COVID, during COVID. That figure is back. We got our 2 million jobs back. Our tourism before COVID has now improved to more than 15% compared to the time of COVID. That has increased. Emirates had 48 flights a week to South Africa pre-COVID. They've almost reached that figure already again. Ethiopian Airlines, Turkish Airlines, all the other airlines are expanding their footprint in South Africa. And then they make you scared. They tell you, how many people live in the country? Did they tell you that 400,000 South Africans came back? Did they come back after 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 year? They didn't have enough time to sit and reflect and think, okay, I'm 15 years in this country. Do I really want to go back to South Africa? And after 15, 20 years, they realize the only country they want to be in is in South Africa. Ask them why. Everybody said the grass is green on the other side. Ask them, why did you come here? 2 million, and I'm not talking about foreign nationals like Somalians, Ethiopians, Zimbabweans, Lesotho. I'm talking about 2 million highly skilled nationals are employed in South Africa. Why? Crazy country. Why didn't I say it? A few months ago, I was at Port Shepstone, Nelson Mandela Business Chamber. I spoke there. The German guys that invest in alloys for all the cars were there in the meeting, in the discussion. After I finished off, the German guy came to me and he said, you guys, South Africans are crazy people. So I said, why? He said, you guys fight about everything. But when there's a common issue, all of you guys stand together in the interest of your country. He said, let me tell you a secret. I'm being very deceptive with my wife. I've brought her down to South Africa 3 times. And every time I'm trying to encourage her to stay here. I'm a German. If there's any country in the world I want to stay in, is in South Africa. That's the sentiment of people from everywhere. We just don't realize it. I was telling you what's the most significant thing to remember. You see, we complain about potholes, we complain about lights, we complain of poor service delivery, we complain about dysfunctional systems. Yes, we do have those problems. That's a fact of life. But we have something that every single one of us have to be grateful for till the day we die, our children die, our grandchildren die, our great-grandchildren die. You see, our country didn't go up in flames. We didn't go up in flames. I've seen horrendous things happen. I told you that at the beginning. Between people of the same race, same religion, same color, same neighborhood. Horrendous things have happened in the world. 27 April 94 is the most significant date in South African history. Not because a black government took over a white government. That's meaningless. Politicians come and go, it's not a big deal. Everything changes. What was important was the behavior of the masses. Everybody makes them like the bad guys. They are the bad guys. They're going to burn, they're going to steal, they're going to loot, they're going to destroy. Why do we do that? You see, the world's media came with their war rooms. Why did you come with the war room? To film arts, culture, agriculture, sport? Or you come to film mayhem, destruction, friction, burning, looting, and they're going to throw all the white people in the sea. That was your kind of film. They told you, fill your houses with food, keep your passports ready, keep fuel in the car, close your gates, get ready to run to the airport. Sorry for them. It was the most boring day in world history. Nothing happened. But in nothing that happened, actually everything happened. That everything was because of the masses of South Africa. They didn't say it in the words, but their body language said it. Yes, we know we were oppressed. Yes, we had the Dompas. Yes, we had detention without trial. Yes, our family members disappeared. Yes, we don't know where they're buried. Yes, they were killed in the countries next door. Yes, we know about Hector Peterson, Solomon Mashlangu, Imam Harun, Hussein Hafaji, CCB, Boss, Caprivi Strip, Kofut. We know all those things. But it's not going to help to start destroying things. We are the people of faith. We are forgiving. We're going to rebuild this country together. And the president came out of jail and he forgave his jailer. And to show goodwill, all the civil servants who were there pre-94 were still kept in their jobs. And they formed the government of national unity. That's a big thing. The guys have missed this. This country could have been burning in 94 and would have never come out of it. We must never forget what happened on that day. The following year in 95, Mandela took great consternation of the ANC, put on Francois Pienaar's rugby shirts. And the higher guys asked me, like, what's wrong with you? This is apartheid sport. How can you put this on? And he says, I believe in reconciliation, nation building, bringing people together. He didn't say the other words. He could have won the battle in 2004 sorry, 1994, and let everybody kill each other. But he certainly would have lost the war. And he and everybody else understood that our future is dependent on being together with each other. How can a man in 1 year make 40 million black people support the white team 1 year later? How is that possible? Leadership, belief, faith. We must never forget that that day is that everybody will say thank you for. Because us and our kids of the country would have been in a terrible mess. And again, in 2021, when somebody tried to instigate it, the same very people who've been suffering pre-94 and post-94 are the very same people who are remorseful. The same people in 2022 stopped it. The same people that we say, they are the bad guys. They're going to cause the violence. They're going to cause burn everything because of hunger. In 2002, the World Summit on Sustainable Development is taking place in South Africa, in Houghton and Sandton and Nasrec. Colin Powell and all the world leaders come here. On the same week, on the front page of the Sunday Times, 167 children died of starvation in the Eastern Cape. Did anything go on? Was the shops looted everywhere? Craziness everywhere. Nothing happened. 6th August 2023. That's last year. In a place called Toleni Village, right here in this province, in Butterworth. 6th August 2023, Sunday morning. A woman kills her 3 children and then she hangs herself. People ask, what caused this? Hunger. Hunger caused it. What do you mean? She was hungry. Her children were hungry. They were dying in front of her with each passing day. It's the most horrible way to die. She asked for some money. The neighbor gave some money. She bought food. She put latex in the food. She had enough food for the 2 small ones. They got killed with latex poisoning. The bigger child, there was latex, but no food to feed them, put the latex in. So she can't feed the child plain latex. So she just took a knife and shoved it into the throat of the child. And then she hung herself. What about bottles? What about lights? What about service delivery? They don't know when they're going to eat. They don't know what the kids are going to eat. They don't know where it's going to come from. And by the way, it's only rich people who complain. And now look at it this way. When a woman is pregnant, what does she do? Urine test, sugar, protein, blood pressure check, diabetes check, ultrasound, take the multivitamins, take the iron, sit down, lie down, that you get early cramps, make sure the baby is fine, baby is born, milk, breastfeeding, vaccinations, take medication for the child, get enough rest. When the child gets sick and you have to go to a public hospital, take the taxi in the Kumbi on a broken road, come and wait in the long queue. The doctors are tired, 4 o'clock, they tell you, sorry, come back tomorrow. You can't come back tomorrow, you stay in the hospital, in the cold, no food, no heat, no blanket, you and your child stay. The next morning the doctor sees you, you wait the whole day to get the pharmacy, the drugs, you get it, you go home. You give by the school lunch, the school bag, the uniforms, you do all that for your child. Why would you put a knife in your child and kill your child with latex? Desperation. Did the Eastern Cape burn? Was this one isolated incident? No. When that happens, we go into the villages. In 2015, a place called Fardwa, in the northwest, 3 children were walking to look for their mother. In the heat, with dehydration and no food, they died. We went to the villages where they came from. Several villages with hundreds of houses, with children and adults sitting in their houses, completely hungry. We set up a kitchen in the school where these kids were from. It cost of 500,000 there, and we're supporting the soup kitchen from that day up to today. Northwest didn't burn. We went to the Toleni. We went to every house. One house, the old lady had the last cabbage to cook, nothing else after that. Many houses were just children sitting in the houses. No parents, no adults, nobody. And they were sitting in that house hungry if we don't know for how many days. But they just sat there patiently because they are not the ones that burn things. They are not the ones that disadvantage themselves. They are not the ones given to violence. They are not the bad guys. They sit there patiently and wait for something to happen, for somebody to come and see them and support them. Hundreds of villages like that. They didn't burn anything. For the last 3 years or 2 years, when we respond to fire and floods and rain, the picture is completely different. Normally when you go, they say, don't worry about the food, don't worry about anything else. Where's the building kit? Where's the building kit? We need to build a house again. Or somebody will take my land away. I need to put a building kit. Oh, now, they don't ask for the building kit anymore. The first thing they ask you is, where's the food? So we said, you're hungry in 2 hours? Didn't you eat? They don't say anything. You give them the food. Watch when the child eats. That child hasn't been starving for 2 hours. That child hasn't eaten for days. If the left-hand side where the fire and the flood is so messed up, what about the right-hand side? So we send the teams to the right-hand side too, where there's no fire, no flood, and say test, and watch how the child eats. So we give the food to the child, and you see it in the eyes. They are so hungry. They haven't eaten. We changed the policy. We used to put 3 days only on the fire side or the flood side. Now we feed both sides. 5 days, 7 days, 15 days, 21 days. The recent floods in the Western Cape, we fed 200,000 people at a time for so many days because they were so hungry. You just cannot walk away and worry about economic growth and those kind of things. Yes, you need economic growth, it's true, but you can not be focused on making more. You see, we have a teaching that whatever you don't spend is not yours. So if I give 2 million to each of you, you're all going to be very happy. But I'm going to ask you one question. How many lifetimes are you going to take to spend that money? You say, I'll buy 5 houses, or 15 rooms in the house. You can only sleep in 1 room. You can only drive 1 car. You can only eat so much of food. You eat too much, you're going to end up by me. And I'm going to take all your money in the hospital. So think about it. Be grateful for what you have. People are really battling in this country, but they're not destroying or harming anybody. They want to make a difference. All they're asking for is an opportunity. So let's go to the farmers. You guys have suffered a hell of a lot. In 2015, the drought started in the northwest, and then it went into Free State, and then it went into southeastern Cape, guys outside here, nice like George in those areas, Albertina, and then it went into the Northern Cape, Sutherland, Fontaine, Calvinia, all those places. Canada is a mess right now. All over is messed up. We picked it up on the 7th of June 2017 when we responded to the fire in Naisna. We finished all that. And somebody comes and tells us, but you know why the fire is so big? Because there's a drought here. But there's a bigger problem. There's a drought in the Northern Cape. The merino sheep count is dropping from 442,000, eventually it dropped to 32,000. Farmers lost their farms, farm workers lost their jobs, farmers took the kids out of university, out of school. They didn't have money to put diesel in the van to pick up fodder. The co-op said, sorry, account closed. Bank said, account closed. Credit card said, account closed. At some point, the farmers came and they felt very sad. Afrikaner people don't put hand out, you know that. They came and said, when you bring a food parcel for my farm worker, do you mind bringing a food parcel for me too? My family hasn't eaten. The one guy said, put my picture and my family's picture on the social media. I want other farmers to see there's no issue to take food and not to suffer. I said, you're right. You didn't create the drought. You didn't change the weather pattern. You didn't close the business. You didn't buy a Ferrari or take a business class trip on a plane and waste money. You were the victim of circumstances. Thank you very much. You encourage other people to do the same thing. And more farmers started coming. It was the faith and the spirituality of that farmers that has kept them alive up till today. 2017, 2024, 7 years later, the drought is still there. The sheep are still dying. But something changed. I knew nothing about sheep and fodder. That's not my business. I'm a disaster specialist. So I took Afrikaner people and I said, sorry, how do I solve this problem? They said, you're going to buy fodder, but you just can't buy any kind of fodder. You're going to buy loose maize, all other kinds of things, sorry. I said, okay, you tell me what to buy, I'll get it. To the credit of farmers in other parts of the country, Mpumalanga, Northwest, from Potchefstroom, and from Pietermaritzburg, they started selling free fodder. But you know what the problem is? The transport cost. Killer. We started paying for that. Started selling fodder everywhere. Then food parcels for the farm workers. Then food parcels for the farmers. In July 2018, the farmers from Sutherland called and said, thank you very much what you've done, but we're throwing the towel in. They said, why? They said, you know, you send all the fodder, but all the boreholes are dry. There's no more water. No water, no sheep. Fodder's useless. I said, that's one language we don't understand. You know, they say the boermarke plan. You've got to make things differently. I sent my hydrologist, Gideon Groenewald, and Martin Landma, my drilling guy, in. We drilled 238 boreholes at a cost of 90 million to provide water for the sheep. Today, the only farms surviving are those farms that we have in 2017. From 2017 up till now, I've spent 400 million rand trying to save the farmers, the sheep, the jobs and lives. And finally, the change is starting to come. My key people is a lady called Sybil Fasahi, who works like 10 men, and her husband Jan. Her only focus is not her own farm. Her own farm almost got destroyed of neglect because she's worried about other farmers in the area. They bought a pellet making machine. I funded part of that. Pellets, our farmers know what it is. You take fodder, which is half bedded maybe, combine it with molasses, lucerne, maize, and put some other type of fortification things inside. And you give that to the sheep. The sheep doesn't have to go outside, so the scavenger can't catch him. You can sit in a warehouse and eat it there. And you save the sheep from dying. For the first time in 2023, the sheep count started climbing. We gave them the fodder, and when the Ukraine war started, they called back, they said, we can't pay the difference on the bag. Even 5 and more we can't pay. The fuel price went up, the maize price went up, they all were crying, they said we can't pay. I subsidized every single bag that Jan and Sybil Fasahi produced to help the farmers. It will come back one day. I'm not looking for money. I don't care about money. When God wills for something, it always happens. The sheep count is coming up. They're creating jobs. They're getting happy families again. The agriculture will benefit. GDP will benefit. The country will benefit. It's all about humanity and standing together. If anybody has had patience, if anybody has been calm, if anybody has full of faith and spirituality, are the farmers of those areas. For so many years, waiting for that to come. Canada is falling apart. We started selling supplies in the last 4 days. Grant Flame wanted food, potatoes, some farmers sent potatoes. We paid transport. I just paid for 2 trucks, 50,000 rand last week, to try to save those farmers and to save that sheep. So this lets me go back to where all this started, so you know where I come from. Important thing is to be grateful, to stand and hold each other's hands and work as South Africans. Yes, it's the government job, people say, but 7.4 million taxpayers' money can't look after 65 million people. It's impossible. No matter which political party is in power, give it to any political party. Say, take it, yours, have it, free, yours. They'll come back running because no government in the world can work, but only 7.4 million taxpayers for 65 million people. We need to sit collectively to fix the problem. And fortunately, South Africans from all over are starting to work together. Municipalities, cooperatives, corporates, NGOs, trade unions, public service are starting to work together. In Senegal, in the Free State, they're turning the town around. In P, they've got 11 different clusters. In other towns in the country, they're looking at how they can fix the system. Yes, the problem is messed up completely, but I look for 1% progress. If you make a 1% progress, it's better than what we had yesterday. and then 2%, and then 5%, and 10%. As long as we're not going 0 and -1 and -4, we're fine, we're going upwards. Inside government and everywhere else, you have people wanting to make a difference. I know, I meet them all the time, I see them all the time, I'm engaged with everybody all the time. Changes are coming. There's one element we need to know. Forget about economy. Forget about growth and development. There's an important critical criteria in terms of faith. You see, we've intervened in 47 countries. When you leave, those people from the bottom of their heart say, may God save your country. May God save your people. May your people progress and have prosperity. We in pain. We have a teaching that when a prayer like that is made, it's always answered. No matter what happens in this country, it will never burn. 27 April 94 is proof. July 2021 is proof. July 2022 is proof. This country will never burn. People said election, 7th election, it's going to burn. Not a single incident of violence. This country will not burn. Yes, we will have challenges because God promised that. Challenges is a part of life, it tests your faith. But the country will never go backwards. So let me tell you where I come from. In 1986, I moved from Durban to Pietermaritzburg. I'm originally from Potchefstroom. My mother and father got separated. She's from Durban, he's from Potchefstroom. I went to Durban, finished standard 7, 8, 9, and 10, and to go to medical school in Durban. When I finished internship, I was in the last year of internship in 85. I said to myself, I'm going to specialize in medicine. Unfortunately, there was not much opportunity, so there was no post for me to study. I go to Maritzburg. The week I moved to Maritzburg, an Afrikaner guy that comes from America comes to Maritzburg also to teach French at the university. Now you have to understand the spiritual aspect of what I'm saying. You see, he needed a butcher. Sorry. He needed a butcher. So he finds a butcher. There's lots of butchers in Maritzburg. But he also needed a doctor. The butcher that he found was my neighbor. So he said, butcher tells me, I got this guy, he's an Afrikaner guy, he needs help, he needs a doctor. How come he didn't go somewhere else? He came to this butcher, that was my neighbor. So me and Miller start talking. And he tells me of a spiritual teacher from Turkey that he met in America. And he says, every time I talk to you, I think of how he speaks. You guys are very similar. He says, you better go and see him. I said, where is he? He said, in Turkey. I said, Miller, it's 1986. I haven't been to Cape Town yet. When the hell am I going to get to Turkey? He said something very profound. Afrikaner people have a deep faith. He said, my friend, what God wills happens. There's a time and a place. There's a time and a place where your sheep problem gets sorted out, the prawns will get sorted out, and the country will get sorted out too. August 91 was the time my wife and I landed up in Istanbul in Turkey. I met a spiritual teacher. I fell in love with what I saw. There were people from all nationalities, from all countries, from all religions, and people who didn't believe in any religion. They were all there. Harmony and understanding between each of them. Love, respect, treating each other with kindness and compassion. I couldn't understand this, that human beings could do this. There's something special. Jews, Christians of different denominations, Hindus, Muslims, Tamils, people who don't believe, Americans, Russians, people from Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Australia, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, all over, absolutely respectful to each other. I just fell in love with this. Following year, 6 August 92, March said, I need to go back there. 6 August 92, Thursday night, 10 p.m. After spiritual ceremony, the spiritual teacher looks me in the eye, in fluent Turkish, and I don't speak a word of Turkish, but I understood every single word that he said in Turkish that night. He said, my son, I'm not asking you, I'm instructing you to form an organization. The name in Arabic will be Waqful Waqifin. Translated, gift of the givers. You will serve all people of all races, all religions, all colors, all classes, all cultures, of any geographical location and of any political affiliation. But you will serve them unconditionally. You will expect nothing in return, not even a thank you. This is an instruction for you for the rest of your life. I was 30 years old. Serve people with love, kindness, compassion, and mercy. And remember, the dignity of man is foremost. So if somebody is down, don't push them down. Hold them, elevate them. Wipe the tear of a grieving child. Caress the head of an orphan. Say words of good counsel to a widow. These things are free. They don't cost anything. Clothe the naked, feed the hungry, provide water to the thirsty. And in everything you do, be the best at what you do. Not because of ego. Ego is destructive. But because you're dealing with human life, human emotion, human suffering, and human dignity. My son, don't ever forget that whatever you do is done through you and not by you. 32 years in the business, what gift of the givers, and 2 years before that. I know what I do is not humanly possible. I asked him, how come when you speak Turkish I understand? And other people speak Turkish I don't understand. He said, my son, when the hearts connect and the souls connect, the words become understandable. I asked him, what exactly am I supposed to do? I got 3 practices. I'm a doctor in private practice in a place called Pietermaritzburg in South Africa, and I'm very busy. He said one line, you will know. I will know what? What? For 32 years, I don't know exactly what to do, how to do, what to touch, what not to touch. In fact, that night when I walked out of that place, on the 6th of August, 92, it came to me, respond to the civil war in Bosnia. The same month, I took in 32 containers of aid into a war zone all alone. 3 months later in November, I took in winter items. The chill factor in Eastern Europe becomes minus 21 degrees. Took in 8 containers of winter items. The following year, I sat with Alfred from the Vietnam Engineering, and we designed the world's first containerized mobile hospital. A product of South African technology, South African engineering, built in that backward continent of Africa and taken into Europe. No government, no agency, nobody had done anything of the sort. We were the first in the world to do it. State of the art, 28 containers, theater, X-ray, ICU, sterilization, burns unit, pediatric unit, dental unit, physiotherapy unit, orthopedics, gynecology, the whole range, plus a bus, an ambulance, a generator, and 10 containers of backup supplies and enough fuel to run the hospital for an entire year. CNN filmed the hospital on the 1st of February 94 and said the South African containerized mobile hospital is equal to any of the best hospitals in Europe. In 2005, the Bosnian government, the president, invited me and my family for a tour of Bosnia. We went to where we set up the hospital. The guy I put in charge in 93 was the same guy that was still there. He said, my friend, you told me that in the theater we can do everything besides heart surgery. I said, that's exactly what I told you. He said, come here. Brings me a lady. He said, meet this woman. He said, this woman had shrapnel in her heart. We removed the shrapnel in her heart in the same theater that you South Africans provided. You see those 4 children? They were born to this lady. After the shrapnel was removed from her heart in this theater, they were born in this very same hospital that you South Africans provided. We associate South Africa with healing, with life, with dignity. And the prayers started coming again for South Africa, the country and its people. The final story linked to this story. It's a story of pure spirituality. In November 2022, I get a call from Cape Town from my friend. He says, do you want to meet the new general manager of Turkish Airlines that's coming to Cape Town? He's moving from San Francisco. I said, in my business, I got to know everybody. Logistics, connections, networks, ambassadors, diplomats, I need to know everybody. Yes, I will meet him, but not now. Let the universe tell me when to meet him. There has been no notes, nothing written down, no appointment slip kept, nothing. In the head, forgotten. 1st February 2023. I'm climbing up the plane in Durban, King Shaka, and as I get into the plane, the universe talks to me. Phone the guy now. So I phoned him. I said, Nisar, the Turkish guy is here. He said, I'll call you back. In 2 minutes, he called me back. He said, we're having supper at 9:30 at Saray, the Turkish restaurant in the waterfront. from the airport straight to the restaurant. We greet, we meet. My first question to Mohammed Sona, the general manager of Turkish Airlines, on the 1st of February at close to 10 o'clock at night. Mohammed, in the event an earthquake hits a country, can you move search and rescue teams, medical teams, dog handlers, dogs, search and rescue equipment, medical equipment, tents, blankets, food and medicine instantly? No obstacle, no red tape, no bureaucracy, no losing any of my stuff. Do it instantly. He said, consider it done. 5 days later, 4:10 a.m., 6 February, the earthquake hits his country. What's the chance of that being a coincidence? 20 million people were affected in that earthquake. Within 24 hours, our search and rescue teams were on the plane. Within 48 hours, the dogs and the dog handlers were on the plane. We landed in Istanbul. 172 countries responded to that earthquake. Some sent more than one team. So let's say an average of 300 teams. This part is very, very important. Imagine, let's say an average of 300 teams. You don't decide, and you don't tell the people, hey, I'll go here, and I want to go there and there. You don't do that. You say, I'm here to serve. What do you want me? Where do you want me to go? 12 teams, only 12 teams were selected to go to Hatay. Hatay was the city that was wiped off the face of the earth. 99% gone. Nothing left there. No city is gone. Finished. The 2 Chinese government teams, 2 Turkish government teams, Italian government team, Jordanian government team, Saudi, Omani, Croatian, Serbian, Bosnian, all government teams, and gift of the givers. We were only one of 12 out of 300 teams selected to go to Hatay, the most damaged city in the earthquake. On day 8, and we were the only guys in the world that had 5 dogs. Nobody had either 1 or 2, we had 5. On day 8, the dog, like in Haiti, the dog said he was going there. And on day 8, because of the dog, we found a live 90-year-old grandmother in a 12-story pancake building. The Bosnian team leader comes, taps my team leader on the shoulder, and he starts sobbing. So I asked him, like, what happened? He takes out a wallet. In the wallet, there's a picture of a baby and a woman. He says, that baby, that's me. That woman, that's my mother. So why are you crying? I know your guy's name. He said, you know, in 1993, you guys brought the hospital to Bosnia. I was born in that hospital. What's the chances of that being a coincidence? 300 teams. Only 12 teams get to go to Hatay. From the 12 teams, the Bosnian team and gift of the givers are 2. From the Bosnian team, the guy that is born in hospital is in the same team that meets our team. This country is going nowhere. We're not going backwards. As long as we have faith and spirituality, there's always place for positivity and hope. The investment will come. The tourists will come. The conferences will come. The jobs will come. The economy will stabilize. The crime will decrease as jobs are created. But we all have to do this together. There is no other way of doing this. Every single one of us has to be a patriot. You can't have one foot here and one foot on the outside. It doesn't work like that. We all have both feet here in the ground and do this for the future of ourselves, our children, our families, our grandchildren, our grandparents, and everybody around us. It's going to happen because millions of people all over the world, with their prayer, have guaranteed that it will happen. Thank you very much.
It's